Madam President, Washington, D.C. is our nation's capital. There is perhaps no city in America more capable of demonstrating the idea of the United States as a melting pot than is the District of Columbia. Here, you find people from every walk of life. It's the seat of our national government, where people from across the country come to work, seek an education, engage with history, and witness what goes on here. Take a look at our nation's monuments and historical venues that can be found here. Washington, D.C., in short, belongs to all Americans. Tragically, a visible increase in crime has plagued D.C. It's backed by numbers, felt by residents, and seen by millions of visitors. Since March of last year, crime in D.C. is up 25%. Homicides are up 30%, and motor vehicle theft is up 110%. 110%, Madam President. Despite being in the midst of a crime wave, the D.C. City Council passed a bill that reduced criminal penalties for violent crimes, including homicide, robbery, and carjacking. Now, what message does that send? It's such poor logic that Mayor Bowser opposed the bill, admitting that, quote, "this bill doesn't make us safer." And she's absolutely right. It doesn't make us safer. And yet the D.C. City Council chose to override her veto and force this through to make it the law of the land. Even though it doesn't make us safer, it makes things much, much worse. And it makes things worse in many of the same ways that D.C. residents are already suffering. When the D.C. City Council is to the left of Mayor Bowser, we have a serious problem. When carjackings are up 110%, this shouldn't be a partisan issue. Even President Biden telegraphed in a recent tweet that, quote, "I don't support some of the changes D.C. Council put forward over the mayor's objections, such as lowering penalties for carjackings. If the Senate votes to overturn what D.C. Council did, I'll sign it." President Biden is right. Now is not the time to get soft on crime. And this is, by the way, a good time to demonstrate that this is not or should not be a partisan issue. How fitting is it that this bill, once it's passed by the Senate, is expected to be the first piece of legislation signed into law by President Biden during this Congress. It's also fitting that the House sponsor of this bill is none other than second-term Congressman Andrew Clyde, a Republican and a member of the House Freedom Caucus. So, if this bill is able to unite the House Freedom Caucus and President Biden, it's doing something right. Now, it's not often that I find myself in the company of President Biden and Mayor Bowser. We've already seen this play out with the campaign to defund the police. Cities with this disposition quickly discovered that lawlessness begets anarchy. Since the campaign began, crime has skyrocketed and police resignations have soared. What started as a series of calls for justice culminated in a 25-year high in the national crime rate. Let's not make the same mistake twice. Not here, not now. We can't afford to make such a mistake. Voting for this resolution presents an opportunity for my Democratic colleagues to make a distinction. Will you join us in a bipartisan recognition that we cannot endanger the lives of D.C. residents by allowing this soft-on-crime bill to go into effect? Or will you stand with the D.C. City Council and put politics above public safety? I emphatically support Senator Hagerty's resolution of disapproval because the residents and visitors of this city have a reasonable expectation of safety. I encourage my friends across the aisle to support this common sense resolution and send a message that the Democratic Party is not beholden to its fringes, particularly where, as here, its fringes would lead to increased crime rate and additional unnecessary suffering. Thank you, Madam President.